This week we ask, why the hell hasn't Sam Raimi made more Westerns? Welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Half-Ass Movie Podcast, a show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Porterson, and joining me today, he's already 3 sarsaparillas deep, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
What if Bloodsport was a Western?
And he's not only a Kentucky Colonel, but he's also the sitting president of the Pat Hingle fan club, Bruce Leslie.
You know it, brother. You know I love that Pat Hingle.
Oh, we are
Worth
back.
The price of admission.
Absolutely. Every time he is in it, whether it's this or Batman or 5 of the other things he was in, we love Pat. No, he was in a buttload of things, though, that Pat Hingle. You got to look back on that. But welcome back to HMP, everybody. It is April, and we are looking back at the movies of the recently departed Gene Hackman. And this week, we continue our Gene Hackman Appreciation Month with The Quick and the Dead. Like last week, also from 1995. This was quite the stellar year for this man. But directed by Sam Raimi this time. But more Gene Hackman stuff. I'm super excited for this one. And especially with all the characters that are in this movie, too. That's part of the fun.
Very much so.
But we'll get into all that good stuff. Before we do, though, we want to make sure that everybody goes over and subscribes to us over on YouTube, man. Send us a like in the comments and all that kind of good stuff. We got a lot of things coming out. I got 2 comments this week that were kind of my favorite, and they were made within 3 hours of each other, which is interesting. And one of them, these were both in regards to my knocking on, just heaven's gate, knocking on the door here of 1 million views for my popcorn video. But this person responded, wrote here for a comment. His name is Draw DeBono 77 said, after 3 minutes of stupidities, I had it. ... And I was like, that's, not everybody's going to be into the jokes.
Hold on, though. 3 minutes. Sir, who's the stupid one? Like, if I don't like something, I know before 3 minutes.
And it's like the whole video is 7 minutes and change.
At that point, you're almost ready to just go around the moon and bring it on back home.
But then 3 hours later, old LZH3131 commented and said, OMG, this was a comedy riot, totally worth watching, thumbs up, and then 4 laughing eyes rolling around emoji. Listen, man, so you make up your own mind, man. Head on over there to our YouTube page and check out all that kind of good stuff, man.
Did he tell you what the laughing emoji scale was? Like, is it 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 10? Because those are very different laughs.
Well, there's 4 of those and 1 thumbs up, so my guess is that's at least 6.
That's like 4.5. Okay, 6. That works.
I'm not good at math either, but we want you to leave a comment over there as well, and we got a lot of other videos for you to check out, including a Filling in the Gap series that I started with another episode. I've got Crisis, which is the first movie from Ingmar Bergman, who I have not seen any Bergman films in my entire life, so I've started that off there as well. And next week, I've watched 3 new movies this weekend. So I've got 3 new movies to kind of review on the YouTube channel and everything. I've got the new Blumhouse thriller Drop, the new Alex Garland movie Warfare, and Sinners, the new movie from Ryan Coogler. I got to check out all 3 of those films, and I should have all 3 of those reviews up later this week. So please subscribe to the YouTube, turn on all the bell notification, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it, man. And thank you guys so much. And of course, if you can, you want to do us a little bit extra, you really, really like this show, why don't you head on over to patreon.com/HMP pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. And the Dinger Zone, of course, all this week has been our Daredevil Born Again 30-question show. It has been something else, man. And we wrapped out the season with a really good episode, and we're excited to talk about that because at least with whatever they're going to be doing for this next season of Daredevil, at least has set me off on a better footing now. I feel a little bit more comforted after this last episode.
It doesn't feel like a dumb dog anymore.
No, it feels like they've started to kind of open up their minds and go, you know what, maybe we ought to make something good. But of course, after that, we're starting up next week and everything, man. Andor 30 Questions is coming out as well. I think we're going to do exactly what we did with Daredevil Born Again 30 Questions. We're going to put the first episode out on YouTube there and everything so people can go ahead and listen to it over there. And if you dig that show, head on over to the patreon.com/HMP, join up at any level. And not only can you listen to the show, you can also send us in questions and stuff and get your questions asked on the show as well. So thank you guys so much for that. Patreon.com/HMP. We love you so much. And let's get into it, fellas. Here's the IMDb plotline for The Quick and the Dead. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. A female gunfighter returns to the frontier town where a dueling tournament is being held, which she enters in an effort to avenge her father's death. Wow, IMDb knocking it out. Probably some of the best we've seen in a while.
That's the best. That's the best one I've heard in a while.
That is, it's succinct. We don't give away too much information, but we give it just enough. That's perfect. This is written by Simon Moore. Most notably, he wrote the British show Traffic, which would later be the basis for Steven Soderbergh's Traffic from 2000.
Oh, those are related. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Directed, of course, by Sam Raimi, who did the Evil Dead movie, Army of Darkness, Simple Plan, Darkman, Spider-Man's 1, 2, and 3, The Gift, Drag Me to Hell, Oz the Great and the Powerful, Doctor Strange, and the Multiverse of Madness. You know what? I think this Sam Raimi guy is going to do it one day. I think he's going to be all right. This is starring Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman, whose names were above the title. Pretty sweet with that one. That's some good contract negotiating right there. So Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, Keith David, Tobin Bell, Lance Henderson, but I repeat myself, Pat Hingle, Mark Boone Jr., Gary Sinise, and a 20-something-year-old named Leonardo DiCaprio? I guess
21. I looked it up. He's literally 21 years old.
Then he lied in that Entertainment Tonight thing, you sons of bitches.
I was guessing he was 19. I didn't know.
Yeah, man. That is one thing that for whatever reason, this movie and the promo spots on Entertainment Tonight have been ingrained in my head since 1995. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, E.T. was constantly doing like little set visits and stuff to the quick and the dead. Because it was like Sharon Stone was kind of having like, this was supposed to be really like the second start of her kind of career and everything. Supposedly at this point, she'd kind of fallen out of favor. She'd fallen off a little bit and everything. But this was like Sharon Stone coming back and like her second round and being like, she might be a little older now, but she's still sexy and blah, blah. And here's the thing. Looking back, you're just like, first of all, this woman is drop dead gorgeous. So I love the fact that like this is our old lady, and like this old lady is fine. I'm like, this woman is so fine. Y'all
She's
are crazy.
30. We might as well throw her away.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there going like, this woman is so good looking. I don't know what's going on here. And even when we like dust her up a little bit, still hot. Doesn't matter.
She's great in it too, man.
Oh, she really is.
I thought she did a really terrific job in this because when I first saw this movie, I mean, I was 20. So like watching it now, I'm like, oh wow, she's really great in this. At the time, I think I was kind of like, come on, when I was watching it, but she's really great in it.
When you think about it,
really good.
When you think about it from like kind of her earlier stuff with like your Basic Instinct and the other things that she was kind of known for previous to this, we all kind of had our feelers up a little bit. You're like, Sharon Stone, is she really going to be doing? And at the same time, there are moments, not always, but like you could just give kind of a modern day parallel to this and stuff. Like Charlize Theron would be another one where people might, at first kind of go like, oh, I don't really know. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, no, yes, this definitely works. Same kind of situation here.
Yeah. I think that Charlize Theron really kind of benefits from the age that she's living in.
Yeah.
Because Sharon Stone could have a very similar career if she were born around the same time as her.
A lot of technological updates.
Yes.
We'll call them.
Yes.
Bruce and I were talking about this off mic here just before the show started up and everything. But this was a time before we really knew who Russell Crowe was. This was his first big American movie and everything. He'd done a couple of other things and whatnot. But as far as like, spreading it out for America, this was it, man.
This is before Virtuosity?
Yeah, just before.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
wow. He's great in this too. I prefer him in this to him in Virtuosity. I'll say that.
What are you talking about? He's so no, I can't even make it. But he's so over the top.
He's so theatrical in Virtuosity.
But like
according to Wikipedia, what they had to say about his casting is that Sharon Stone had seen Romper Stomper. And I guess you could say she liked what she saw, so she said she wouldn't do the movie unless they cast Russell Crowe opposite her.
She did mention that in the Entertainment Tonight things when they were asking about this new Russell Crowe guy. She mentioned Romper Stopper. She's like, I saw this movie. And here's the thing. Because she's a very beautiful woman, I think a lot of times people think beautiful people aren't smart. Sharon Stone, I think, is a very smart person. who looks at things and has an eye for stuff. You know, it may not always be perfect, but like I think she has very strong and informed opinions that she has.
According to the information that was shared, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But it sounds like she has a real eye for talent because Sam Raimi hadn't really done anything on this level before. Russell Crowe wasn't known in the U.S., and she had to pay Leonardo DiCaprio's salary herself because she was told that he probably wouldn't transition to the movies very well because, he was that kid on a sitcom.
Yeah. Crazy.
They said to her, well, we'll take it out of your salary if you want them so bad. And she was like, sure.
Yeah.
At least according to her autobiography.
I hope Leo, if that's the case, I hope Leo sends her quite the Christmas basket every year.
I would find it very hard to believe that Leonardo DiCaprio spends any amount of time thinking about anyone he worked with before he was insanely famous.
Well, no, I'm saying like he gives that to somebody else to do for him. He's not
right.
Up. His assistant's given like, hey, but remember, send Sharon a good gift this year.
Mm-hmm. And, once again, if the Wikipedia T can be believed, the studio really wanted Matt Damon in that role, and think how different that is.
Yeah. I like to think that Leonardo DiCaprio's assistant, he has a revolving door with the assistants like he does with his girlfriends, except it's the opposite way. So he hires them old, and then once they hit 65 and have to retire, he has to get another assistant.
He pays wild in retirement fees and stuff, but it keeps him in the type of person that he wants around there. So. Leonardo DiCaprio is fantastic in this movie as like, it's so wild, like just seeing him at this young age between like this and What's Eating Gilbert Grape and all that stuff. And you're just like, this dude had it all the time. He had it the whole time.
He did. And he also had the other thing too, which is that he's got that same Zac Efron thing where you're like, oh, he used to be just the prettiest boy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, because I never thought that Leonardo DiCaprio was like just like the most handsome, heartthrobby guy in the world until I saw Quick and the Dead, and I was like, oh, now I totally get it.
Yeah,
little girls everywhere are like, he's so handsome. I totally get it.
And here's the thing: all the ladies that are around him in this movie, you buy them just like fawning over him. You're like, of course they would be.
He's the prettiest boy in all the world in 1995. I get it.
And this girl, Faye Masterson, who plays the other girl that's like kissing on him the entire time. How much do you think she just brings that up at cocktail parties constantly? Just be like, well, me and Leo were making out a whole bunch on The Quick and the Dead.
I may be way off base on this or way out of line or whatever, but sometimes I kind of wonder if DiCaprio's career would look different right now if River Phoenix was still alive. In my mind, especially in this era, I kind of saw them as very similar.
I think it probably would be. There'd be a decent one, though. The weird part is, and Sean, tell me if you've heard otherwise on this, but from what I have understood, Joaquin Phoenix did not actually want to necessarily be an actor per se. This is what he says, at least. But when River died, he almost felt like it was upon him to then live up to River's potential.
I know that is what he says. I understand that is what he says. And I'm not saying that he's wrong, that he's lying to us. But I think that there's a little column A, column B happening with him.
Yeah.
Where he had been acting since he was a child as well. He's in Parenthood, the Steve Martin movie.
It's the kind of thing you can say to fondly remember somebody you respected, admired, maybe even a friend. And if it's not 100% true, it hurts no one. So right. I get it. Yeah.
Right. There's no, like, I could totally, I can totally see him that's the main reason why. Like, yes, absolutely. That could be the reason. But there's also a little other thing too. That's, he's already in it, so it's a little easier for him.
Yeah. You come from a family that's kind of doing it right now, so and you've been kind of doing it. So
it's not like he was, really trying hard to be a baseball player, and then his brother died, and now he's an actor. Like that does.
Yeah. His brother brother died, and he didn't stop his job at Kmart and then decide to become an actor, right? And he was like, "You were already doing it."
Right.
It's, the one thing that from my personal experience would compare it to is it's real easy for like doctors to tell people don't go to medical school. It's not worth it. But it's also like we've already done it. So it's easy for us to say don't do it.
Sure.
Because maybe it's less competition or something. You never know 100% what the motivations are.
That's why I have my side business doctorate.
Exactly. Everybody else does these days.
These chumps with their medical degrees. Okay. Just come on over. I'll take care of that.
Listen,
thing.
if there weren't people like me, who would John Wick have to go to? Let me ask you that.
Exactly.
Do you want John Wick to bleed out? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Adam, I have a question for you. When I was watching this, and I didn't really remember it from before, I think we were probably off air when I told you this. Last time I saw this would have been pretty close to 1995. It's not one I rewatched. And watching it this time and seeing how it was set up, I thought, man, this is kind of like an Old West Mortal Kombat. And that made it pretty easy for me to latch onto the story. Did you kind of think like Old West Mortal Kombat or anything, the way that the tournament was set up?
This is... I love stuff like this because this is always that Ouroboros of Eastern and Western art constantly influencing each other. Because this movie is clearly just a Western that's also trying to be, a kung fu movie at the exact same time, which also we're trying to be Westerns at the exact same time. So like everybody is just doing everything else. And that's exactly what, to me, this is like One Armed Boxer, any of those other movies where like it's tournament time. We get all the different people around. And the course of this movie is to kind of go through the roster, fight everybody out. And then you have like, a tangential story weaved inside. They aren't usually as good as the ones in this, in this movie and everything, but you have something that vaguely connects all of these things together and helps bookend stuff. And that's essentially what this movie is.
Sean, do you think maybe Enter the Dragon would have been a better parallel? That's what popped into my head with the Kung Fu movie comparison.
Well, at the top of the show, I said that it reminded me of Bloodsport, like because it's so close in time.
Yeah,
but you are right. I mean, this is Enter the Dragon, or like Adam is saying, one of 100 different martial arts movies. But when you are Sam Raimi, you can't say I didn't see that stuff because you absolutely did, dude. You know what I mean? Like, of course that's influencing you. You're Sam Raimi. And like, I can't remember if I said this on air or off, but if you hear that Sam Raimi has made a Western, what is in your head of what that looks like is exactly what this movie is. It totally delivers on that.
Isn't it weird? Like it's just that he has this great authorial style where we know exactly what a Sam Raimi Western movie looks like, and it's exactly what we got.
Right.
It's kind of insane, but he still has the language of all the, the films and stuff in the past and everything, but he's got that Raimi stank on it that's just so beautiful that you can't help but see his fingerprints, even though the DNA is from everyone else.
And I knew full well that there was no supernatural element in this movie. I had seen it before, but I still, because it's that Raimi visual language that you're talking about, I kept waiting for the aliens to show up or the zombie to appear or something, and I kind of like that feeling. It keeps me on edge, but I also know that that's sort of a Pavlovian response to the multiple times I've seen his Evil Dead movies. So I don't know how much of that was like a learned experience and how much of that is just the way he communicates visually, but I enjoyed it either way.
And also it's the same kind of time frame here and everything, but you've also got kind of that Dusk Till Dawn idea where like, you get halfway through a movie and things might change up, and like you wouldn't go too far afield thinking that Sam Raimi might pull something like that off.
Oh, yeah.
Like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, this movie's a little bit different than you suspected before. But thankfully, though, I am happy that it is more or less just a straight Western, only really shown to you through the eyes of Sam Raimi.
So I'm going to go with Adam first with this one. So Adam, is From Dusk Till Dawn a better movie than Quick and the Dead?
Gosh, it is tough because they are...
I know you love the movie. That's why I'm asking you first.
Yeah, I'd probably watch From Dusk Till Dawn first. If it's like, totally random day, we've got these two movies on the shelf. Which one are you going to watch? I'd probably reach for Dusk Till Dawn first.
Bruce, what would you do?
The Quick and the Dead's going to work better for me, but that's not because I necessarily think it's a better movie. Just Dusk Till Dawn was never one that spoke to me a whole lot. I'm glad it's not bad in any way. It just it doesn't give me as much fun as Quick and the Dead does. How about that?
I totally know what you're saying. I mean, right now I'm literally going back and forth because I think that The Quick and the Dead for me is probably like an easier watch.
Yeah.
With the exception of a 1995 Selma Hayek.
It's worth the price of admission.
Without a doubt. It's the best special effect they have in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not fair to the movie, but in my mind, it boils down to the crotch pistol.
Yeah.
And, that just sort of sets a tone for a movie that movie isn't necessarily. So I get a little disjointed there.
Well, the funny part is that crotch gun was supposed to be in Desperado.
And it fits so much better into Desperado, if you ask me.
Listen, you know Savini wanted to have, it's like, hey, listen, we got a dick gun. He's like, you don't got to say no more. You're done.
I mean, it felt like El Mariachi when I saw it.
Well, you pull from what you got.
Yeah, potato, as they say in Potato Land.
Let's talk about the set here, because I think this is one of the things that's very impressive about this movie that I don't think enough people really kind of think about is they built this town, dude. And it's so great.
And the greatest bit of trivia to me is that they built this town because they wanted Gene Hackman, so they had to build it close to where he was willing to be.
Right.
Is that right?
Because they had other towns that would work just fine.
Yeah, I mean, they literally have like 3 or 4 Western towns that are already built that they usually go to for this kind of thing. But because it's Gene Hackman, they were like, he's like, I'm not leaving this town I'm in.
And not to cast aspersions, maybe you can tell me if I'm way off base, Sean. You have a little better understanding of this stuff probably than I do. You too, Adam. But I would say a lot of those existing sets probably are a little bit better than this set.
Probably just because they had more time to be more ornate.
Yeah, this felt like a really, really well done full moon Western set or something. Like it's competently done, but you can tell like
it feels like a set.
It feels like a set that was built to be used for this movie and nothing more.
Right. But I think that works to the movie's benefit, but only this movie's benefit.
And before they set foot on set to start their principal photography, they already went into this with the idea we're trying to make something campy. So, that's going to inform the way the set's built too. And
at the same time too, it was called, I don't know what the budget for this thing is. I'm just thinking, I'm like, let me scroll down and see if they got that, but I don't think they do. Anyways, but like the budget's not super high. 32 million. No. That's a little high for 1995. That's a little,
but it's not, I mean, it's that mid-tier.
Yeah, you're not Star Wars
enough to lose money. I can tell you that.
Right. Yeah, when the World Wide Ghost is 18, so yeah, that's a big old stinker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's enough. But like, so I think they were like, listen, where we can't make up for in these other things, we're going to rely on that Raimi style, and it pays off. It pays off in spades because it is what makes this movie watchable. If you take out the style of Sam Raimi and leave most of everything else, it's pretty crap.
Yeah.
There's no movie without that visual language.
There's just way too many cliches in the movie for it to stand on its own without his input. I mean, I would have been rolling my eyes if it were anyone but Sam Raimi directing this thing.
Yeah, it would just feel kind of played out and especially kind of hokey, but with that Sam Raimi little kind of sly wink that's always kind of going on, you don't really it's not bothersome at all. If anything, you're embracing it.
Yeah. Sam Raimi's public statements have been that the style he was looking for was a spaghetti Western style. I don't see much spaghetti Western in this. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, it's dripping with it. It's just got Sam Raimi's DNA all over it.
It's true. Although I do have to say, there's not a ton of I think he was intending that to be the case, especially in that opening scene in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But there's not a ton of sweeping vista shots. You don't see that spaghetti Western shot of guy in the far off distance walking to camera, and it takes 2.5 minutes for him to get into his onto his X, onto his mark.
And you wouldn't,
line.
you wouldn't watch that. But here's the thing, though: if this was that movie, you wouldn't watch that movie.
No, but that's what I mean. Yeah. Like the thing that makes this movie such a gem to me is that if you remove any of the ingredients of this, it's not nearly the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a perfect movie for exactly what this movie is. I think if you change an actor, I think if you change a director, you change the scenery, you change anything, it's not going to be the same experience. This movie to me feels like it's such a hidden gem of a movie that not a ton of people have seen, and it also hasn't been trod over 1,000 times, even by people who love Sam Raimi. And this is like, if you were looking at Sam Raimi's career the way that that people seem to look over John Carpenter's career, because they have fairly similar careers, I think that you would say that this movie is one of those top 5 movies of Raimi.
Yeah. It's definitely on that Mount Rushmore and stuff, especially outside of the kind of horror genre. If we even just kind of take that one off, like your Evil Deads and stuff, off the table and whatnot, and even just look at his more strictly, non-genre stuff, be it like This Is Simple Plan, stuff like that. Like the guy's also done a lot of kind of, for lack of a better word, straight work.
Right, The Gift, that kind of thing.
But as far as Sam Raimi's directorial experience at the time he made this, you got to understand the biggest star he had ever worked with went from being Bruce Campbell to Gene Hackman overnight.
Right.
I mean, he had never worked with with actors who were even in the Screen Actors Guild with his first couple of movies. So this was a whole lot. And in Bruce Campbell's autobiography, because he was sort of an assistant on everything that Raimi did, like the whole crew from Michigan was always there. But he kind of said that Sam was reasonably afraid of Gene Hackman.
Who wouldn't be?
But the nice thing is, he said, like, Sam would say, "Okay, here's this next scene. Here's how we're doing it," and Hackman would go, "Nope, I'm not gonna do that scene." And he's like, "Okay, I respect that. I understand that. I was just thinking that this scene would communicate this." But I understand to cut it. And Hack was like, no, you make a good point. We will keep it in, but I'm not sitting. And he's like, okay, that's fair. For some reason in my mind, I was like, the king sits and everybody else stands. I had that chair that looked like a throne. But I get it. Get the chair out of there. And Hack was like, no, keep the chair. I'm the king. So apparently Raimi had a very natural ability to work with actors, unlike his good friends, the Coens, who told Nicolas Cage, "That's a great idea. You do it when you're the director."
Try to tell a 30-year movie veteran Gene Hackman at this point to, hey, why are you being a jerk?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm used to the horrible things I used to do to my brother, and now I'm working with Gene Hackman.
Especially 1995 Sam Raimi, where he still kind of looks like a kid.
He looked like a child forever.
You know what this movie reminds me of is a couple of weeks ago we saw the movie The Menu, and just what a pleasant surprise that was. And how I was like, waxing philosophic about how, like, this is going to be one of those movies that 30 years from now, people are like, what movie is secretly a banger? The Menu. And I think that this probably doesn't have that same level of break it down by all its elements and figure out why it's great, because you already know, by the time you're done watching it, you're like, well, it's because it's Sam Raimi and it's because of the actors and, that sort of thing. But I think that, like, the hidden gem level of this movie is something to be rewarded. And I can't remember which one of us picked this.
I would think I recommended this one.
Yeah, I think you did. And then I was super excited that it was on 4K, and I made a purchase.
I know that the reason I think I recommended it is because I got a text from Matthew Vandiver that basically said, "Yeah, you guys need to do that."
Matthew Vandiver also has some suggestions where I'm like, We're never going to do that ever, Matthew, but thank you. And then sometimes he has a suggestion where I'm like, oh, that's a great idea.
Just keep tossing them out. I mean, they're not all going to be gems, but every now and then you'll hit a real good one, like Quick and the Dead.
Yep.
That's for damn sure.
For real.
I know he's a big Raimi fan.
Yeah, he is.
Let's talk about kind of our cast of gunmen and stuff, as you will. It's always a pleasure when Keith David shows up in anything, even if it's for a tiny little role like this.
This movie is rife with that, though.
Yeah.
Where just again and again, you're like, oh, that's so great that guy's playing this role. And that Sam Raimi is literally like, I want you to go as big as you can possibly go with this character. and so Keith David's like, I got you. We're there.
He, I like a particular type of performance, and he definitely brings it here.
Right.
Just that smile as always. That he's so friendly yet sinister. That's what I love and hate about him, because it's just like, I'm like, oh, he looks like he might be nice and kill me. I don't trust that man.
So I've got a proposition for you, Sean, and I want to hear your feedback, because you're probably the biggest fan of the Preacher comics I know. I'm a pretty big fan too, but I'm sitting here and I'm watching Russell Crowe cast as a preacher, and I wonder, circa 1990, 95 wouldn't have worked, but in this general area, would Russell Crowe have been able to do justice to Jesse Custer? Oh
my Lord, it would have been far superior a performance, just because Jesse Custer has menace to him in the comic books, and so does Russell Crowe. Whereas, as much as I like that actor who was playing Custer in the show,
the 4'11" Irishman,
exactly, he has no menace to him. He looks like the part, but Russell Crowe could totally be the guy, especially during that period in time. My God,
he's getting it done in this movie.
A not bad cowboy accent. I won't say Texas accent, but I think he could maybe do that accent better than some people felt with Dominic Cooper.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Russell Crowe, like, he looks spectacular in this. Just young, handsome Russell Crowe is just like, peak good-looking man over here. He's got the 90s hair, which is just absolutely beautiful. And like, he's got that perfect kind of like sunburnt, dusty looking, like, which we didn't do for some. There was like an odd era of movies and stuff where like people were just, clean and pearly white and everything, and their teeth looked fantastic, and like, this thankfully was not that kind of movie. People look like they've been outside for a while. It was kind of lovely.
Yeah. They also, with Russell Crowe, there's something about him, and it's true even to this day, that he's had a 30-year career in Hollywood, but I don't go into a movie that Russell Crowe is in with expectation of what Russell Crowe is going to do, even now.
Yeah, because he's like, one of the amazing parts about him as an actor. We'll do a Russell Crowe month at some point, no doubt. He's as much as you wouldn't think it, he is kind of a chameleon.
Yeah,
in a lot of real senses and stuff. Because this character and the character like in The Insider couldn't be any further apart.
True, and I know that Bruce loves. I'm going to speak for you here, Bruce, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But I think that Bruce far prefers fat Russell Crowe. but I like both. I like both fat and skinny Russell Crowe.
Well, I'll tell you the whole story. If you go back to, like, let's say around 2001, around A Beautiful Mind, whenever that came out, people told me I looked exactly like Russell Crowe at that point in time. And then some time went along, and nobody ever told me I looked like Russell Crowe, but now they're starting to do that again. So that's why I like the fat Russell
Crowe. Can I get off of the movie topic here for a second? Because I got to tell you guys something that happened to me in real life this week. So, I was like, kind of like, wah, this week, like feeling bad for myself for no reason at all. Like, things are great. And I'm at the grocery store, and there's an African-American cashier, and she's, like getting all my groceries packed away. She turns to me and she goes, "How old are you?" And I said, 51. And she goes, "You look like a man."
Oh, wow.
Well, thank you, dear.
She did not further elaborate. but I knew she meant it as a compliment.
Okay, like did she know you were a man, or did she think you were a woman and she was trying to insult you?
No. She was like, "You look like a man," and I was like, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've been eating off of that for like a full week now.
You mean this giant person in front of you is a man with the beard and everything? You think that's a man? Okay, good for you. I mean, it's true.
I'm sorry. Pray continue.
No, it was just one of those things where like I kind of realized that like that and sorry for the generality here, but like that African American women have a hold over white dudes way more than anyone else has. Like if it was a white woman who had said that to me, I'd have been like, "Oh, thanks." You know.
Now,
and if it was a guy, I'd have been like, "What do you want to go dancing with me? What are we talking about here?"
So there was when I was working in North Carolina. In the nice, beautiful town of Monroe, there was a very full-figured, like picture a much younger version of Medea, a person of color who was a patient of mine. And then I was out of town, so she had to follow up with one of my partners. And then when I was back in town, she said, "Oh, I saw that other doctor last time." And I said, "I don't want to see him no more. I want to stick with that cute, chubby fella." And I would brag about that compliment to my partners forever. I'm like, "I'm the cute one."
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, all right. So we are if we're all talking about black ladies giving us compliments, I'll have mine. Please. I was when I was working.
That's an excellent time to plug my book, where we don't know which of the three of us did it with Shirley Hemphill and made a baby.
That's true. We do. Who's to say? Mine was I was working at the movie theater, and I was like checking tickets and stuff because it was like a super busy weekend or whatever. And I was happened to be wearing a sports coat, and like I looked like shit at the time. I can tell you, I was a fat bitch at this moment. But this woman gave me a great compliment. I felt so good. She was just like, "Oh, you looking sharp today," and I was just like, "Oh my god, thank you. I look like shit, but you're so nice to me. Thank you."
You're almost as hot as Morley Schaefer.
But yes, back to the movie.
Okay, if I may try to get us back on track,
please. I took us way off track. Please do.
Sam Raimi felt like a failure after this, and the reason he felt like a failure is because he wanted to try to be a work for hire director who could work in a genre and make a spaghetti western. And instead they said, "Oh, that felt like a Sam Raimi movie." And he thought that made him a failure at the time. How long do you think it took him to come around to realize it's a good thing to be a visionary director, one that people can just look at it with the sound down and know it's you?
I think after he made millions of dollars during the
Amazing
Spider-Man movies.
That helps a lot of people's self-esteem, doesn't
it? Once you find a level of success, all of the knocks and nicks, you're like, "Well, that's what made me me."
I do like what Bill Murray said. If you think you want to be rich and famous, try just being rich. Usually you'll find that covers it.
Sam Raimi's just putting on that suit every day going, "Yep, I'm that good."
Do you think he should have felt like a failure in any way, Adam?
Listen, I mean, box office is box office, and 1995, this is a very interesting kind of, time and everything. We're in an odd spot, and I don't know that Sam Raimi's this movie belonged right here, right now, so to speak. I think if this movie, if everything, we transport this into the year 2020, 2025, and everybody's still the same and whatever, some magic bullshit like that, I think this movie does really, really well because we kind of know more Sam Raimi and stuff now. I think at that point, the world wasn't tuned into Raimi, much like they'd be really until Spider-Man, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think like when people like us heard that Sam Raimi was going to be doing Spider-Man, I think we were like, "Oh, okay, that's a really interesting idea. I don't know if he's going to be the one to pull this off, but like I'm excited to see him try to do it." And then once that became successful, everyone was just like, "Oh, this guy." And it's like, "Yeah, this guy's been doing some stuff for a good while now. Thankfully, you guys can now catch up to it."
So I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I'm just genuinely curious about your guys' opinion. Which do you think is a better movie, Spider-Man 3 or Oz the Great and Powerful?
Oz the Great and Powerful is not bad. I like that movie well enough.
I'm thinking of those as probably the two I would rank lowest in my head on just like a quick jaunt through my memory banks. What do you think, Sean?
I prefer Oz the Great and Powerful because my feelings were hurt with Spider-Man 3. I loved the second Spider-Man, and I still do. It's still one of my favorite superhero movies. And for that to be followed up with Spider-Man 3. And look, I know that there's no, but and I know that everybody wants to blame the meddling of the studio. But and that's certainly there. But there's also a level of, oh, Sam's kind of done with this at this point.
Yeah.
In that movie. So I prefer that. I prefer Oz the Great and Powerful. Although, to be honest, I have not seen that movie since it was in theaters.
Neither have I. So
yeah,
I might
same.
not be judging it fairly. And the one thing that I think Spider-Man 3 has going for it is just how much I enjoy the stupid, edgy Peter Parker sequence.
Sure.
It's become a lovely meme. There's no doubt about that.
It's a fine meme.
And I mean, I could not tell you anything that happened in Oz the Great and Powerful other than James Franco was in it.
I remember the air balloon thing having a very Evil Dead like kind of moment in there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
It's so similar to Wicked. I can't remember which is which.
Let's look at some of these other, like Lance Hendrickson as your ace character and everything.
That's literally my favorite thing about this movie. I love Lance Hendrickson in this movie. Do you guys know the story behind his character in this?
He loved Zorro the Gay Blade and wanted to just do a straight version of it.
Well, that's the wardrobe. That's the wardrobe lady, because he had told wardrobe what he wanted his character to be. And the wardrobe lady, the wardrobe mistress, was like, okay, we got it. And so she hands him all this stuff. He had it in his head. Let me just use the man's words, because in an interview in 2011, Lance Hendrickson said, I've got to shoot a card out of this kid's hand, and I think there might be more to it than that. So we worked on the horse trick where I flip off the horse backwards. And I worked on that for like a month, and I get to set and I say, Sam, I got to show you something. And the stunt guy brought in a big white horse, and I said, this is how I like to shoot the thing out of her hand. And I jumped up on the horse and I flipped under the horse and I shot under the belly. And Sam got really excited and said, that's in the movie.
I can see that.
And you can tell the level of love that Lance Hendrickson had for doing this role, because it's just so much unlike anything he had done previously. Even though, weirdly, he did 3 Westerns in a row, which I looked it up.
Huh.
So weird that Lance Hendrickson was in 3 movies in a row, and this is one of them. But this character is so unlike a Lance Hendrickson movie. Like, it's basically his role in this, and his role in Stone Cold is basically the same character, just with a Western. And it's great. I love this version of Lance Hendrickson, and you know you're in really great hands when he shows up and he's like all like handsome and like, you know, that weird like biker sexy thing happening.
Yeah.
That's doing. You just know you're in great hands. Man.
Bust out his little mustache comb.
Oh, so good.
It like just all of the neat little tiny character things that you know that Lance Hendrickson purposely put in there. Like, it feels like these were all choices that he made for what this character's kind of doing and stuff. And it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the boldest choices made in this movie were a couple of choices made with bullet holes. One where you get the camera shot through the hole in the head, maybe the most Sam Raimi thing he got away with. And then also when the shadow behind the guy shows his bullet hole completely through his torso. Another interesting twist on a bullet hole.
Pretty great. I think that the most Sam Raimi thing in this movie is the when the showdown happens, that first showdown, and he just goes further and further into the gunslinger's eyes.
Yeah.
Either one. And it's just like, man, Sam, you are really going for this. Because that sequence is about 45 seconds long of him
when it's just like
going
push, pull,
closer,
push, pull, push,
closer,
pull,
closer.
push, pull on everything. Right. And it's just like, my God, we're just like ratcheting, ratchet. And you're just like, this is so good. And it's like, again, if it were anyone else other than Sam Raimi, you'd probably call bullshit on it.
Yeah.
A Sam Raimi film is like watching somebody with a box filled with chaos fall downstairs. And I mean that as a compliment, but yeah. It's a lot of chaos there.
Man, this movie only made $18 million domestically.
Yeah, and again, with all that Entertainment Tonight promo, that shows you that don't mean shit. Thanks, Entertainment Tonight. John Tesh is nothing.
If you're a glass half full kind of guy, this was Sam Raimi's biggest box office to date.
Man, that's crazy. I'm looking at
other backhanded compliment. I love it.
I'm looking at other movies that did better than this movie, and it just makes me shake my head.
Yeah.
Like the sequel to Under Siege made a lot more money. Stallone's Judge Dredd made a lot more money. Man. Like, what are we doing here? And this is the year that that Pulp Fiction came out, and Pulp Fiction isn't even in the top 20 of like most popular movies that year. Most popular movie in 1995, most successful movie, Batman Forever.
Oh, well, that's artistic peak right there.
So people are idiots.
Well, here's the thing. Burger King put so much money behind that advertisement. That movie is only going to be good. It was only going to get money. You know what I'm saying? When you give away those kind of Batman cups to everybody, you're going to start putting butts in seats. That's all I'm saying.
That's so crazy to me.
One thing I discovered when I was looking for this movie is that there are two other Westerns named Quick and the Dead.
Yeah.
Are any of them the same story?
No.
I wouldn't imagine so. Who would try to do something like this? Because this is like, again, this is a one of one. No one's doing this anymore. Yeah. They're not gonna. And if anyone did, you'd call BS on it. You just would. You'd be like, this is
what the craziest thing about Hollywood is? If they'd made this movie for $6 million, there would be 1,000 of them now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, let's talk about Sharon Stone and then Gene Hackman, because that's going to be our main guy here. But Sharon Stone, we kind of touched on a little bit. She really is super great in this movie.
Man, it's so weird because I fully expected, once we started seeing all the other, character actors come into the town, I really thought like, oh, my attention is going to be drawn by whatever they're doing in the background. But she really does hold your attention. She is very, very good in this role.
She is one of the last, not actresses, but movie stars. Yes. She has that old school movie star vibe about her.
Yes, agreed. I did not find it hard to believe her character. They have moments with her where you're like, oh, this is the scene where she is remembering her dad. How nervous she gets around Gene Hackman's character.
Oh, and of course, Gary Sinise as her dad and everything. Oh, young Gary Sinise, looking like he's a little baby.
It took me the second time he showed up to even put two and two together who he was.
Oh, the second that man starts talking, though, that's Gary Sinise. He's got such a distinct voice.
Real good. And again, you get somebody that's just a strong character actor here for his quick little shot and everything, and he makes a good enough impression. And with the flashback scenes, like, while they aren't amazing or anything, they're well enough of a good storytelling tool for everything. We don't sit too long with it, thank heavens, because that could definitely be a problem here if we just make the whole thing about, or for example, we didn't do that and had a whole preamble where we saw that thing as opposed to, jumping in at the later stage and then flashing back to it. So smart move all around. And I love how, what Gene Hackman looks like in the flashback and everything with his wardrobe and stuff with his hat.
Yeah.
I love it.
It looks like
it's so
Stinky
backwards.
Pete from Toy Story 2.
Exactly. So he hasn't quite gotten up to the level that he would obviously get to later and everything. So I thought that was like a really great, artistic choice here to kind of dumb down that wardrobe and everything and make him look like he's a tag along in a John Wayne film as opposed to John Wayne, real good. So then, of course, Gene Hackman is absolutely murdering this movie. It's 1995, and as we saw last week with Crimson Tide, this is about peak Gene Hackman, I would say, where he's just kind of height of his powers and whatnot.
Man, he's just so good. He kind of brings along a little bit of Bill from Unforgiven in this movie, but I don't care. I just don't care.
This movie could have really struck a nerve maybe 10 years ago if it had come out with him as like the bitter older generation guy who's so competitive he'd rather kill his son than lose.
Yeah,
and I think that was pretty popular narrative in the media for a little while there pre-COVID.
What a really great story, and like just two awesome performances from DiCaprio, because when he's shot at the end, you absolutely believe that kid's been shot, because he's really panicking proper, and Hackman's just kind of like, you can see the characters just kind of stirring and really trying to, you know, compartmentalize what he's seen here and everything, and really trying to give himself the best excuse as to, no, that wasn't my, like, he doesn't buy it. He knows it's not true, but it's got to be what he says in order to, you know, justify his actions and everything. It's really, really good.
Yeah, there's some dads out there that are proud of the day when their son can finally beat him at basketball in the driveway, but Gene Hackman, he's not one of those dads.
No, the next day you go outside and the basketball hoop has been sawed in half.
Yes. I mean, it's not enough for him. It's like he's the guy. It's not enough for me to succeed. Others must also fail. I mean, It's like there's no room for his son to have his own career and reputation.
I am glad to hear, though, that Sam Raimi at least kind of had, you know, a little bit of a way to kind of deal with him, because like I said, I just feel like this era of Gene Hackman had to be some of the most difficult to deal with.
Man, I mean, you're not kidding. You know, where his name is above the title of the damn movie. Like, there is no way you're getting a plucky Gene Hackman.
Yeah, who's excited for whatever this, you know, small time fry director is coming up with. He's like, listen, bitch, I've worked with Sam Peckinpah, all right? Get out of here, dude. Like, who are you?
I think it helped that Sam Raimi was fully aware that he was totally out of his league there with Hackman, so he didn't even try to push back. He just said, I'm sorry, I must be stupid. I thought of it this way.
But great evil character with, like, who graciously, I think, doesn't go through an arc. He's just an evil son of a bitch out and out, and that's it. He's not turning. He doesn't go, oh, maybe I made a mistake with my son, and kills himself or nothing. He just goes, nah, I did the right thing.
Yeah. If anything, I would say that he has almost a reverse arc where in the beginning I could almost see that maybe he does truly love his son deep down, but he takes any doubt of that away.
You're kind of right, because at first
he takes a stiff arc, not a flexible, not a soft arc.
Yeah, he feels like he has at least some sort of connection there at the beginning, but like he's got to be right, and he's got to be, you know, the one who's always correct in whatever assessment that he's got here and everything. But I do like at least that he is like fast enough to back up his mouth and stuff like that. He's not just some kind of bullshitter or whatever. He is still a really fast gun. So at least he's got that going for him.
Right.
Because if he was just as slow and just talking crap to everybody, that wouldn't be no good.
He really truly though is like gravitas 1995 Gene Hackman. Like you're just buying Gene Hackman, man. Like whatever it is he's going to do, immediately your movie goes from, I don't know if I want to see that dumb thing, to, oh, Gene Hackman's in that and he's the bad guy. Yes, I definitely am going to see that movie.
He's one of those guys that, like, even if like in the middle of something is like crappy and he's really good, it's just like, well, you know, at least Gene Hackman's really good in this thing. Like,
yeah.
There's always that kind of stuff, and it's looming around, and he's kind of the linchpin for this whole thing. If this character doesn't work and he doesn't sell this off well enough, the whole thing kind of falls apart. But yeah. Sharon Stone is kind of very closely following up that lead here, because she's got to sell how bad of a dude this is and everything, and she does a fantastic job of that. But like without Gene Hackman's kind of menace and everything, but also that great kind of like, and you see it all across Gene Hackman's career, is that like, he's a bastard. I think we all know that. But there's also something about him that's a little sweet. There's a little sweetness that's kind of deep down inside there, a little smile every now and then where you're just like, oh, I kind of like this guy. Even though he's a dickhead, I kind of like him. And I think that's like Gene Hackman in real life probably too.
I think it's Stockholm Syndrome on all of us.
Yeah, maybe.
He's so scary. The only way we can find any reason to not have to admit our utter weakness and inferiority is to say, but deep down inside, he's nice.
Well, he's got that same quality where it's like a wearied old guy at your job who has no time for your horse shit, but occasionally will pull you aside and be like, look, if you don't want to look like an idiot, this is the thing you need to do here. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's basically who Gene Hackman is. And
kind of destroying this film, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
So with that in mind and everything, if we had to change this casting up here and everything, take all Gene Hackman out, who would you put in the role?
That's
oh boy,
a tough one.
I mean, you could put anybody in the role, honestly, but it's not going to have the same effect as Gene Hackman in this role. Like if you, I mean, you could make it Tom Selleck, and it would work.
I could see that.
It would work. It just wouldn't be the same movie.
What about Harrison Ford?
Yes. Also, that would be that's a better comp is Harrison Ford.
Yeah, probably. And yeah, would have been age kind of works out and everything. So that would make sense.
The only problem would be is that he's just so bloody handsome in 1995 that, you know, people are like, yeah, he's awful, but boy, is he dashing.
Indiana Jones up there, you know, it's just be one of those. My vote, it would be a different movie because like Gene Hackman is kind of a one-on-one kind of guy, really. But who I think could have at least played the right age, and if you put enough menace on him, John Voight wouldn't have been awful in this.
Oh, right, yeah. Voight is good.
John Voight would work, I think.
Yeah. In 95, I think he still works. You get much beyond that, I don't think he does.
Yeah. If this was like 03 or 04, something like that, I definitely would say no. But 95, we're still off of your Mission Impossible here and everything. So like he's still rocking and rolling it. He'd be able to pull this off well enough, I think. Wouldn't be the same, wouldn't be as good, but would at least be serviceable. I'd say that.
What about Ed Harris?
Ooh, he'd be great. Ed Harris would be fantastic in this.
Ooh, yeah. I think that's very good, actually.
That's the best one. Ed Harris could absolutely pull this off and be the same level of like the town folk have. Like that's a really good comp.
And like you can see him being a real son of a bitch, like looking over his dead son's body and stuff and being like, Ed Harris could pull that for sure.
Yeah. It's important that Herod is the straight man in this campy movie. So you need that person bringing that gravitas to make all the visual language more jarring.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a great comp, man. That is fantastic.
Well, movies only come in two forms, everybody. They're either art or fart. Bruce, where does The Quick and Dead fall for you, sir?
It's art for me. I think it's a victory. It's one of the easiest popcorn westerns out there to watch, in my opinion. So definitely art. But to each his own.
Yeah, Sean.
For me, it's art also, but it's art because if you take out one of the elements, it's not the same movie anymore. Yeah. So for that reason alone, it's art for me.
Definitely art over here. I would suggest now, if you or someone that you know is not necessarily into westerns and stuff, this isn't a bad start.
That's a tough sell, man, because you have to also like Raimi.
Maybe, but yeah, it's possible. But at least it's a little bit quirky enough. It's not like. Here's the thing: I'm not going to tell most people to watch like like a Leone movie for their first Western, right? That's not going to do for them, especially if they're not into the kind of stuff. But this has at least enough of a pop culture kind of vibe to it and everything that I think especially modern audiences who may not necessarily be so down with Westerns could get into that and then may be able to see something in there that they could pluck out and go like, oh, I like this little bit. And then maybe start exploring Westerns and stuff after that. I think this could be an easy leeway in.
I think this is me personally, I think this is a terrible offering for a gateway because they're never going to get anything like this.
You are absolutely right.
So they're like, oh, I like this. I want more of this. Uh-oh.
That is a very
fair
good
point. I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Very good point.
All right, scratch that.
That's like being a Beastie Boys fan. Hey, what's like the Beastie Boys? Literally nothing else.
This other Beastie Boys album, that's about and even then sometimes not. Like this is way different than that one was, so who's to say?
Hey, my favorite genre is Weird Al. I mean, he's a genre now.
Yeah, it's true. And number one at the top of your genre. When you are the genre, that's something. Well, that is it for this episode, everybody. We got one more week in our Gene Hackman Appreciation Month here and everything, and so we decided, let's go back a little bit. Let's wind her back here. Now, we're going to, as much as we're going to wind it back, though, Gene Hackman will still be lacking hair. So, son of a bitch, as long as we dial it back, he's still losing it here. But we are going to check out Bonnie and Clyde, the great movie. And guess what, boys and girls? these two have not seen Bonnie and Clyde before. So I am super excited for that. Sam Peckinpah's, some would call it a masterpiece. We'll see if these boys line up with that sentiment and everything. Until then, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You know, if people want to enjoy what Bruce Leslie used to be like, just see back when I still thought that there was hope in the world, go check out on YouTube, The Legion of Superheroes in a Nutshell. That's a fun video. It still gets comments almost every month. So go check that one out.
Very nice. Sean?
If you are in the Vancouver area and you want an e-scooter tour of Vancouver, boy, have I got some good news for you.
What?
Go to my YouTube channel, which is e-scooter videos and tour videos, and there you go. There'll be a bountiful selection for you to look.
We'll put a link for that there in the show notes and everything, so people can just go boop and then head right on over there. And while you're there, check out not only Sean's page but our YouTube page here as well. We got all kinds of fun stuff over there, including this here program as well as other videos and stuff that I am making. And like I said, we got 3 new release reviews coming out this week here and everything. And it's my birthday week, so, like and subscribe as a present. That's what I want from you. So do all that fine stuff. And join us back here next week for Bonnie and Clyde. For Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the Internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portridge, reminding you to be a dirty baby and leave a comment for your mom.